Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of Digital Fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is one that I'm very proud of. It's one I'm looking to evolve further as time goes on. This one's called Sunslayer. The idea behind this deck is very simple. We're trying to take Glissa Sunslayer and find out which cards can break her or push her as close to being broken as possible, the cards that synergize best with her, and then really try to maximize on those synergies. Now, before we get to the deck, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to slay the absolute monster that is the YouTube algorithm, and I could really use your help. Every like gets us closer to getting more and more viewers to see this, so please help me out. Like it. I've also been uploading some new types of content to the channel. We've been doing some stuff covering console gaming, news, and a Dead Space unboxing, and some other cool stuff. So let me know what you think about that stuff. Are you interested in that at all? Or do you just strictly only show up for the Magic stuff? Let me know in the comments below. And without further ado, let's check out the deck. Alright, so this is Sunslayer. Now, as I said before, the whole point of the deck is we're trying to find ways of taking advantage of Glissa Sunslayer and use her to her absolute highest potential. So Glissa here is a 3/3 for 1 green, 1 black, and 1 legendary Phyrexian zombie elf with first strike and death touch. That means no matter what you do, when you swing in with Glissa and they block, their blocker is going to die and Glissa is going to survive. Unless they have hard removal for her, which obviously they can do. Glissa is going to be surviving any combat. You would have to block with 4 creatures and have all 4 of them be able to do at least 3 damage in order to actually trade with Glissa and actually kill her in combat. So the idea here is when she swings, we get to activate one of 3 abilities. We can either draw a card and lose a life, which is always going to be good no matter what. We can destroy target enchantment, which is situationally going to be good depending on what we're up against and what they're playing. And then the third ability allows us to remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. Now, that's the ability that has some wiggle room for being able to design our deck around it. How do we get the most value off of removing counters from our own permanents? And if we can find an answer to that, that's where we find the scalability of Glissa, and we find the ways in which we can make Glissa better in any given deck, more so than a different deck. For this, what I landed on was the Elder Dragon War. Now, all of the sagas in general are things that you'll add a page counter, trigger the next ability, and then every turn you'll add another page counter, trigger the next ability. And if you remove counters from the saga with Glissa, you essentially get to reset the saga itself and re-trigger Chapter 1, which means theoretically you could be swinging in every single turn with Glissa, choosing to remove counters from your saga, and then reset it and get Chapter 1 again on the next turn. So every turn we're able to trigger Chapter 1, and I think the Elder Dragon War is actually the best card to do that with. So this is 2 red and 2. On Chapter 1, we get to have it deal 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. Now what this means is, not only do we put our opponent on a clock there where they're going to take 2 damage every turn if we're able to keep activating Glissa, but we're also wiping the board of anything that has 2 toughness or less every single turn. What's also important to note is it deals 2 damage to each creature, and our Glissa has 3 toughness. So no matter what, the Glissa itself will survive the Elder Dragon War every time it goes off, even if you keep resetting it and making Chapter 1 trigger every single turn. What's also cool about the Elder Dragon War in conjunction with Glissa is if you're clearing the board of all of your opponent's creatures that have two toughness or less, chances are they only have 1 or 2 really good creatures left that they wouldn't want to block and normally wouldn't want to lose in combat and chump block with. So if you wipe the board of all the tokens and all the chaff and all the little creatures with Chapter 1 of Elder Dragon War and then swing in with Glissa, now they have a really hard decision to make where no matter what they block with, it's going to die to the first strike and death touch of Glissa. But if they don't block it, they keep taking 3 damage from Glissa every turn, keep resetting the Elder Dragon War and taking another 2, and you essentially have them on a 5-turn clock. So you get rid of all of their good chump blockers, force them to have to block with something of value and lose it and not be able to survive the combat, and then you just keep doing it. What's cool also is you can choose to activate the remove 3 counters ability of Glissa every other turn instead of every turn. So on this turn, we could go, okay, we're going to remove 3 counters from the Elder Dragon War, nuke the board for 2 damage, and then on our next turn, we let it go to Chapter 2, we get to discard some cards and draw some new cards, swing in with Glissa, and do a different ability, right? So it's like every other turn, if we've activated Chapter 2, that turn we swing in with Glissa, and we make sure to remove the counters so it goes back to 1. But if it's the turn that we activated Chapter 1, nuked the board, and swing in, that turn we don't have to actually remove the counters. Instead, we can get extra value off of Glissa by destroying one of their enchantments, or drawing a card, and then next turn, when we hit Chapter 2 on the Elder Dragon War, that's when we get to then discard, draw. Now we swing in, when we hit, we remove the 3 counters, reset it to Chapter 1, rinse and repeat. So we get to get extra value by kind of hitting Chapter 1 every other turn instead of every turn if we want to, and then using Glissa's other abilities to get even more value in the turns in between. So very, very cool. If we're playing Glissa and we're playing Elder Dragon War in Jund, we also want to make sure we're playing Fable of the Mirror Breaker for obvious reasons. Now, we can use Fable of the Mirror Breaker to great effect. It's one of the best cards in Standard right now. It has a ton of card advantage just built in. But what's cool about this is it's another card that we can hit with Glissa and remove counters from to reset if we want to. Now, we're not always going to want to do this. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, the backside, is very powerful. So sometimes we're just going to want to make sure we get to that. But if we're in a position where it matters, we can keep resetting Fable of the Mirror Breaker, keep making 2/2 Goblin Shaman tokens that can keep making treasures for us, and exponentially increase our treasure token creation. Or we can keep hitting that Chapter 2 where we get to discard cards and draw cards if we're looking for a key answer or something like that. So extra value baked in there, where sometimes we can also use Glissa's remove counters ability on the Fable and get some extra value that way. And if we're running Fable, you know we're going to be running Tyvar. Now this is 1 green, 1 black, and 1 for a Planeswalker. Starts with 3 loyalty. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. And that's the most important part here for using in conjunction with Reflection of the Mirror Breaker. Now, if we get Fable to flip over to the backside, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, the biggest problem with that typically is our opponent has a full turn cycle to get rid of the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki before it loses Summoning Sickness, and we can actually use the ability. If we have Tyvar on the field, now we can use that ability, make token copies of whatever creatures we want that turn, because Tyvar makes it be able to use its ability as though it had haste. So we get some extra functionality with Tyvar there. And then if we're using Tyvar, we might as well use some other stuff that works with Tyvar as well. So the +1 loyalty is untap up to 1 target creature. This works pretty decently well with Glissa because we can swing in with the first strike and death touch, make sure we hit and connect and trigger one of those abilities, but then we can also untap the Glissa and keep it as one of the best blockers in Magic with first strike and death touch. Nothing's getting through. And being able to do both of those things in the same turn because of Tyvar is really cool. And then the -2 lets us mill 3 cards, return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Now we're going to want at least 8 creatures that cost 2 or less that can utilize the +1 and the -2 here to really just get the most value out of Tyvar itself since we're including it. So when we go down to our 2-drop slot, we've got Llanowar Loamspeaker at 2 mana. This can tap to add mana of any color. It can ramp us to an Elder Dragon War on turn 3 if we need to. It's also got 3 toughness, so it's going to survive the Elder Dragon Wars Chapter 1 trigger. And it also gives us a little extra value by, later in the game, getting to turn our lands into attacking 3/3 elementals. And what's cool about that, too, is if we have an overabundance of land, we can turn a land into a creature and use them for other things, which we'll get to in just a bit. We can sacrifice them to abilities that require creatures to sacrifice. If we don't have other creatures we'd prefer to sacrifice on the board. We've also got 4 Bloodtithe Harvesters. Now, this will die to Chapter 1 of Elder Dragon War, but it's so good it almost doesn't matter, and we can get value off of it long before the Elder Dragon Wars Chapter 1 hits, and it can help us stabilize the board until we get to that point where Elder Dragon War hits, and possibly we can recur it. So 3/2 comes in, makes a blood token. We can sack it to give anything -X/-X for how many blood tokens we have. Very valuable in that way. Now, if either of these 2-drops die to removal the turn that we put them into play, the next turn we can just play the Tyvar, immediately bring back the Loamspeaker or the Harvester, and its abilities have haste, so that we can immediately use the Loamspeaker to generate mana, or we can immediately use the Harvester to kill something on the opposing side. So there's a lot of value baked in there. We've also got 1 Shigeki as another 2-drop that works well with Tyvar. Now this can come down early and potentially use its ability to ramp our land sooner than we otherwise might be able to because of Tyvar. We can also just bring it back with Tyvar after channeling it, and that's a pretty cool ability as well. So later in the game we channel this, we get a bunch of cards back that we want to replay, maybe the Elder Dragon War, maybe the Fable, maybe some removal. But then once it's in the yard from channeling it, we can bring it back with Tyvar's ability onto the field, and then activate its ability to ramp us mana, putting Shigeki back in our hand, and then we can rechannel Shigeki to get even more things. So just 1 Shigeki, I think it works pretty well. Also, earlier in the curve, we've got some removal. So 4 Drown and Ichors here, 1 black and 1 to give any creature -4/-4, and then proliferate. The proliferating can matter if we want to go the other way with our sagas. Instead of removing counters, if we need to speed them along to make sure we get our Reflection of Kiki-Jiki quick, make sure we get our 4/4 dragon creature token with flying very quick, we can speed them along by proliferating with Drown and Ichor. We can also add some loyalty counters to our planeswalkers like Tyvar, and we've also got a Nissa here, which we'll get to later. So Drown and Ichor, really cool 2-drop removal spell that can deal with most threats other than Sheoldred. Now add some extra synergy so that we have options. We can remove counters with Glissa, we can add them with Drown and Ichor. We have a lot of versatility here. We've also got 4 Cut Down. Now Cut Down is going to be important because it helps deal with early aggro presence, but also it's something where on turn 4 we can play a 3-drop and a Cut Down, right? Or on turn 3 we can play a 2-drop and a Cut Down, so we're able to fit in some creature removal while still curving out with the things that we want. So it's a very effective piece of removal in this deck, and we run 4 copies. Now, going back to the 4-drop slot, we have 4 Elder Dragon War for obvious reasons. Very effective with this deck, keeps the board clear with the Glissa engine, and just provides us a ton of value. We've also got 4 Skyfisher Spider. Now, Skyfisher Spider is absolutely insane when comboed with Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. We can just make a copy of it every turn, sacrifice something to remove any permanent on their side, and then when the copy dies at the end of turn, we get to gain life. So, very effective with Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, but this also goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the Llanowar Loamspeaker, where we can turn our lands into creatures. So later in the game, if we have more land than we need, now we can turn a land into a creature, and then we can sacrifice the land to the Skyfisher Spider, or to the token of the Skyfisher Spider if we're using Reflection of Kiki-Jiki on it. That way we only lose our land, and we don't have to like sacrifice a Glissa or a Harvester or the Loamspeaker itself. So that can be very effective as well, depending on the situation. We've also got 1 Arlinn, just because it's another thing that we can put counters on with Drown and Ichor, but it's also very effective with some of the other stuff in the deck. Being able to uptick Arlinn and play a Glissa at instant speed to block can be game-breaking. Also, being able to play things like Bloodtithe Harvester or Llanowar Loamspeaker at instant speed when we've got a Tyvar down and their abilities can be used as though we have haste. Like, we can slam a Harvester or Loamspeaker on their turn, block with it, and then at instant speed use their abilities. Now, granted, we can't use the kill ability from Bloodtithe Harvester because you can only activate it as a sorcery, but we can use the mana from Loamspeaker. We can also use the blood token from the Harvester at instant speed, so there's a lot of versatility, but dropping a Glissa Sunslayer at instant speed when your opponent doesn't see it coming is pretty wild. Dropping Skyfisher Spider at instant speed, being able to block and sacrifice something else to kill something else during combat can be pretty wild. So I think just 1 Arlinn is worth trying here, And then at the top end of the curve, we've got one Nissa Ascended Animus. Now, this is here just because it's a great card. Comes in, generates a threat every single turn. It can get more counters from proliferating, and we can use it to destroy problematic artifacts or enchantments. And then, obviously, if we have a decent enough board and enough mana, we can just slam this for 7, -7, and move in for the win. So that's the deck. We've got 4 Ziatora's Proving Grounds, 3 Rockfall Vales, 4 Karplusan Forest, 1 Copperline Gorge, 4 Llanowar Wastes, 3 Deathcap Glade, 4 Haunted Ridge, and 1 Blackcleave Cliffs. The mana base is pretty wild, but the deck overall works really well, and I'm super excited to try a version 2 moving forward and see what we can do with getting some other cards into the mix. But this version's pretty sweet. We got a ton of wins. The win rate is well past 75% at this point and rising, so let's check out the games. We will keep this. We're going to try this deck. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It's about as Jund can be. How many Skyfisher Spiders do we have again? 4. Good. That's what we want. Play the Harvester. Phoenix Chick coming in. I am not even remotely worried about Mono Red. Not even a little bit. That's fine. You did your job. I may discard up to 2 cards, and I will. Thank you. The Phoenix Chick. Not only that, but we have a good blocker. And the turn. If we need to cut down something, we can cut down something. Good old Chandra.
Don't think a fancy dress means I didn't come here to fight.
Sure. I don't know, Abagon. It's looking mighty problematic. We're gonna crack the blood token. Discard the wastes. Chandra, will you please shut the fuck up? We're gonna swing at Chandra. End the turn.
Party's over for you, pal.
And then we probably just cut down the Epic here.
Let's bring things up to a simmer.
Impulse, sure. Fuck is this, Shadowverse? In case he had a hasty creature, I didn't want to cut it down until now. All of that is fine. All of that is fine. discard our lands to draw 2 new cards. That looks wonderful. We'll kill Chandra here. He'll kill our token.
This went way different than I expected.
Festivities. Not too shabby. I mean, we'll just trade. That's fine. That's fine. We're at 6. We're at 4. Now we got some problems. We're just out of gas. And we are too low on life to be out of gas. One more. If we can make a copy of that spider with the reflection, we pretty much win. Destroy an enchantment. Skyfisher Spider, sacrificing this Skyfisher Spider, which will gain us 3 life and destroy that guy. Looks pretty good to me. The idea behind this deck is that the Elder Dragon War is the best card to pair with Glissa. That's the idea. Even though you still probably always want to try and draw a card with her. 2 Sunslayers. That's probably worth it, guys. We're going to keep this. And we're going to start with the Deathcap Glade. Do we Harvester or do we Loamspeaker? Because it's not like we have a 4-drop that we want to speed out to with the Loamspeaker, right? But it does block the officer pretty well. So let's do that. I kind of like having 2 Glissas here because if one dies, we can just play another one. Recruitment officer. We could just Elder Dragon right now if we wanted to. But I really like the idea of getting Glissa down first. So we're going to try that. Brutal Cathar? No, Sky Strike Officer. You are going to be upset. This is going to be fun. You ready, guys? Swing. First strike and Death Touch. Remove 3 counters from our Elder Dragon War. Oh, hell yeah. You can't play anything. Unless you can kill Glissa. But you play Brutal Cathar, it dies to Elder Dragon War. So... This is awesome. Let me think of how I want to do this. Swing with Glissa. Skyfisher Spider. Sack you. Dump you. And have a blocker for Sky Strike Officer. That feels really good. And the Skyfisher Spider will survive the Elder Dragon War as well. I think he's roping us, guys. He's salty about the Elder Dragon War. He just can't play any of his creatures. Even if he plays Brutal Cathar, Elder Dragon War goes off and kills it and we get our thing back. This is incredible. I'm so happy. I mean, I'm assuming, but I'm not getting mad about it. I mean, there's a difference. Swing in. Keep doing it. It's fine. We'll just keep doing it. Play you. Because we can. End the turn. We're literally just going to use the Harvester as a chump blocker this turn. Yeah, but Finn, I wasn't getting upset about it. If I was getting upset about it, then it would be, you know, an issue that I had a double standard or whatever. But I wasn't. I was just casually remarking, you know? It would be pretty messed up if I was like, oh, when I'm roping, I'm thinking, when he's roping, he's being a jerk, if I was actually getting upset about it and getting mad at him. But I wasn't. I was assuming he was, but not to the extent that I knew for sure he was, which is why I wasn't getting mad. No, I didn't do custom cards. This is just a bonus stream, so I was thinking I'd save that normal stuff for tomorrow. But, if you guys want me to do the custom cards, I will. Alright, puts a counter on the Sky Strike Officer, so we can't block with the Spider. That's fine. Like, you still can't block the Glissa. You know? Unless he could have... he could have Wandering Emperor? Sure. Let's do that. We've got Hidetsugu Consumes All ready to go. That's one of the cards I put in as something new to test. We will discard one Glissa. Guess we just discard both of those, right? Seems fine. Sure. We're gonna get 2 flying dragons, so whatever you're gonna do, you better do it soon. Oh, he scoops. We got him. That's my theory. That's a lot of red. We're on the play. We can't keep this on the play. I could have kept it on the draw. We'll keep this. Put back the expensive thing. Alright. Start with a proving ground. Go Harvester. Although one could argue I should have played another Proving Ground and just held up Cut Down so I can make sure to play a 3-drop on 3. Let's see. Oh, hey. Sure. I think it's better to Fable first, rather than Tyvar. You killed 3 Chandra in 1 game earlier. Wait, you didn't scoop as soon as they had a Planeswalker? I don't know if I believe that. That's not the Duchess I know.
This will make a thrilling tale. Share in my glory.
Alright, Harvester's back. Tyvar's on the field. Two BGMs at the same time. Well, I've only got 1 input coming into OBS. Check my voice meter. How bizarre. How bizarre. I don't know, man. I'm gonna swing 3. Got 3 whopping mana. Let's play another Fable, I guess. And then let's uptick Untap the Harvester.
There's that second wind.
I think I do hear it though. That's so weird. Well, clearly you don't have many creatures. We'll keep the Drown and Ichor because of Proliferate. Play you. Pass turn. Bank Buster, sure. Dump. Let's dump you. Who is Innistrad? What is Innistrad? We could Elder Dragon War, but we'd kill our own reflections, so it's probably a bad idea for now. And we don't want to go too wide because of sweepers. So honestly, I think we just want to do this. Pass the turn. We could swing for one, but I think I'd rather crack the blood token potentially. Drawn with the Buster. Glissa would have been really nice against this guy. We'll get rid of a Loamspeaker. Just gonna cycle. You may discard. We will discard one card, just one. And we will smash. Do we want to kill the Bank Buster? I think we want to kill the Bank Buster. We always want to keep the sweep in mind. He could be sweeping at any point. Alright, we're gonna go like this. Target the forest again. Yeah, that's probably right, Finn. Swing 6. Wandering Emperor, sure.
You started this way, but I'm going to end it.
It's fine.
You are not much of a roadblock.
Do we play the Glissa? I'm afraid to. If he sweeps, we're screwed. I don't think we need to. I think we'll just cycle the Proving Ground. Like, what we have on board can beat him. If he doesn't deal with it.
Still have much to learn.
Alright, well, he's definitely not sweeping.
To me.
Sure. Cycle. We're in a really good position for Elder Dragon War here. Boom. Swing 3. Put him at 6. The key is to try and get just enough into play that we will win if he doesn't affect the board state, while keeping as much in our hand as possible. So that if he sweeps, we're okay. We're gonna keep the Rockfall Vale in our hand. We can discard it to Elder Dragon War. Ah, we got him. We'll keep 7 here, though. We'll hold up black for the cut down. Do it. Alright, I think we're going Loamspeaker here. Because if he plays creatures, we can Elder Dragon War next turn. Which might be what it is. All cards illegal in every format. Good lord. What do you mean anything but Nintendo? Oh, you want Hasbro to get bought out by Nintendo? That's, it's a little bit wacky. Discard any number of cards. We want Nissa. We could Tyvar, untap the Loamspeaker for 3 mana. We'll just do this. Start by making a boy. Then we'll start destroying the wedding announcements. Gonna have lots of tokens. Yeah, Wizards just need to stop being dumb. They need to go back to having the correct priorities. And I don't know if they will. But that is what they need.
Today we carve our deeds into history.
Do we swing with the 4/4? Yeah, I think we do. End the turn. They can put MTGA on the Switch. Could you imagine? Yeah, Nintendo doesn't make the best decisions from a business perspective, but maybe that's what we need. Because they need to go back from the first priority. Right now, their first priority is make as much money as possible. And then their second priority is like, okay, within that, how can we make our fans not want to leave the game? This is not a great on the play hand. We'll keep it though. We do have mana ramp to help us get there. If we draw just one untapped land, we're in really good shape. Even if we don't, we're a little behind, but we're okay. Frontliner. What's up, Flush? Welcome to the stream. We're just chilling on a Friday night, playing some MTG Arena because I feel like it. Do we have to kill Harbin, or can we play a Loamspeaker first? I guess we gotta try to play the Loamspeaker, right? Goodbye, Frontliner. Sky Strike Officer does get to survive, but we'll deal with him later. We're discarding everything except for the drown. Do we Glissa? Do we drown? Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Discard 2 more, get a dragon. Beautiful. And then next turn we get to Elder Dragon War again. It's gonna be wonderful. Looking good for you. Scoop detected. Incoming scoop detected. Good night. Oh, Elder Dragon War. How I love thee. 2 mana, but we are on the draw. I'm gonna try and keep it. It is a little scary, though. Swift Spear. Rockfall Vale. SNK or Sega. They don't have the money for it. Sega definitely doesn't. Alright, we've got 3 whopping mana here. I think we gotta go Fable, because we have to assume he's gonna kill whatever we get out for a creature. We need a creature, though, to potentially be able to block, even though we expect it to be killed. So, something that gives us a creature but also leaves something behind when he inevitably kills it is what we need. So Glissa's not the play, Loamspeaker's not the play. Tyvar was like a maybe, but we would have had to -2 and then hope to hit something on the mill, whereas with the Fable we know we get a token. Do they make indie games for Steam? You guys are funny. Oh, I like you. No blocks. I hate taking the 2, but we need to make sure we can play the Elder Dragon War. And as of right now, we cannot play the Elder Dragon War. We're gonna discard creatures, so that when we play Skyfisher Spider, we can gain the most life possible. Maybe I Skyfisher Spider first. Yeah, I think I like that. Because now he has to use removal on the spider, and when he does, I gain 2 life. And he's already used up a lightning strike, so I don't know if he can. Hello. And you get joke answers? How is "are you taking a piss" a genuine question? Sega couldn't afford Hasbro. I don't even think they could buy Wizards of the Coast as a standalone. Yeah, I agree. Alright, we have 5 mana. 5. Don't think we Elder Dragon more, because I think the Deflection's just too good.
Whoever slays the most Phyrexians wins. Never give up. We can win.
I can tap that Loamspeaker for mana this turn if I want, but I can also drown an Ichor. Alright, he needs direct damage if he wants to get through. No attacks. We're going to keep the Skyfisher Spider, because if we can start making copies of it, we can just start gaining life. think we got him. Back to this.
This was an unlikely outcome.
Yeah. Goodbye. Get at least. Keep 7. Wait, what are you counting on me for? Not playing many Planeswalkers? Or for agreeing with you about Yeah. I think it would be sick. I mean, they're doing a Lord of the Rings one. I am super excited about that. I don't think it's gonna be on Arena, but I'm doing a private party right here. Anybody who wants to fly out for it, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just have a meet and greet party, and whoever wants to come and play in my private Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering pre-release can just show up. Maybe I'll open it up to all Patreon members, even if you're just there at the $1 tier. If you're even $1 a month in. It's not a show. Movies. You've never seen Lord of the Rings, Duchess? Good lord. Been living in a shell. I think we take a chance. Drown in Ichor would be safe. But if he used his Brutal Cathar, he shouldn't have another removal spell. God damn it. Alright, we're going to 8. But it's fine, because now we wipe his board. And then we pretty much win. Oh yes, Game of Thrones. Where do I live? You're down for an adventure? I live in New Hampshire. I used to only live about an hour north of Boston, just over the line. Drown in Ichor? I think we want to drown in Ichor. This guy. And then we desperately need to race. End the turn. We will wait to play the other Drown in Ichor until after we get the Elder Dragon War out to speed that along. But yeah, I live in New Hampshire. I live an hour further north now than I used to, so I'm about 2 hours north of Boston now. Elder Dragon War will kill my Harvester. So I probably just want to save it. In fact, we'll do it this way. I want Skrelv's Hive to hurt him. So I don't want to kill the Skrelv's Hives. And since the Harvester's gonna die anyway to the Elder Dragon War, we'll sack it to the Fisher, and then we'll go to work. Alright, keep 7. Start with a Blackcleave Cliffs. Good girl. Avoid it. It's awful. Do we start with Loamspeaker or Harvester? If we start with Loamspeaker, he has to use a 2-mana spell to kill it. So I think that's the way to go. He also has to cast 2 spells in order to get Swift Speed up high enough. Alright. So it takes up his whole turn. That's not so bad, honestly. This is gonna be sick, guys.
Let's see what this Hex Gold can do. Rally, my friend.
Bring back the Loamspeaker. Pass the turn. Now not only do we have a blocker, we've got a cut down we have access to because we can use the Loamspeaker. Nope. Get out of here. Would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Red. Uptick to untap the Loamspeaker.
Ready for round 2.
And then we'll play a Bloodtithe Harvester. And then we'll pass the turn. I think we're too far ahead now. Feldon, sure. Wait, is he just attacking me? He's not attacking Tyvar? No cares. Discard Loamspeaker. I guess just Loamspeaker. No cards for you. Oh, I should have turned a land into.
Take my hand.
Sack you. Get rid of you. Good game. See you later. We're also using Tyvar with some Tyvar shenanigans. It's the other 7 you're worried about. Glissa with the Elder Dragon War is actually really awesome. You can keep taking the counters off of it if you attack in with Glissa and hit, so that next turn it triggers again and hits the opponent for 2 and all of their creatures for 2. And then you just keep doing it every turn, which wipes out all of their chump blockers so that Glissa can keep swinging in, which means if they do have anything that survives, it's going to be a bigger creature that they're not going to want to block with. But if they do block Glissa because of her First Strike and Death Touch, they will die. So it creates very awkward situations for our opponent. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Alright, cut down the Loamspeaker. That's fine, we're just gonna Fable next turn. And then we'll probably have the Skyfisher Spider to deal with the Shadow. That's fine. Oh, we can just cut it down right now. Very nice, very nice. Play you. Cut you down. play you. That seems pretty good. We might use that blood token to cycle out our Haunted Ridge there. Shakedown heavy. Shakedown heavy. Come on in. The water's fine. Oh, I don't think he realizes. I mean, he's gonna get to play something for free. Hopefully it's not something that will kill Glissa. You can't swing, dude. I got first strike. First strike and death touch. No bueno. Let's see. -2. Make it a 4/4. Cut down still wouldn't be able to do anything against it. So I think we'll just do this. Oh, God. That's such a bad idea. Oh, God. That's wonderful. That just, like, made my day. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. We're working hard to get to 2,000 subscribers now because we blew right past 1,000. So make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like more magic deck techs, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere over there. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.